Hi everyone. For your history project on the US in World War II, you are going to need to do some research. And while you have access to Google, and Google is a good place to start, Google is not going to provide you with as many quality resources on your topic as a database will. Okay, so today we're going to learn about what a database is, how to use one, and I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to make the most out of your search. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk briefly about your topic. I'm going to introduce you to what a database is and give some examples. We're going to talk about browsing, and I'm going to go show you what browsing looks like. We're going to do a search. We're actually going to do a few searches. And then we're going to have some reflection time. I'm going to give you a handout, and you're going to be turned loose to go and browse and search on your own. So first of all, your topic, as you know, is the US in World War II. That's a pretty broad topic, okay? So World War II as a whole is a very broad topic. There are probably thousands of subtopics, including, but definitely not limited to, the European theater, the Holocaust, Kindertransport, Pacific theater, Axis versus Allies, major events and battles, and more. And if you look at each one of these, this is one tiny drop in the bucket of the number of subtopics for World War II. Each of these has a ton of subtopics itself, right? The European theater, you could talk about separate countries, even cities, right? During World War II, the Holocaust, how did it start? Different concentration camps, numbers, the effects, all of that kind of stuff, right? So each subtopic has multiple subtopics of its own, and that of course includes your topic that you're going to be looking at, which is the US in the war. So there are lots of different topics and subjects that go along with this. I've heard some people are interested in researching the Navajo code talkers. That's a great topic. I've also heard a couple of people mention the Tuskegee Airmen and the African American experience during World War II. And of course, Rosie the Riveter and women in the workforce during World War II. So I'm going to show you a couple of searches of some of those topics so you can see where you can go with all of these different topics. So before we start, what is a database? Okay, we've all heard the word, but what exactly is it? So it's a system that we use to organize materials in a variety of ways, okay? So the library has thousands and thousands of different types of resources and materials, and they have to be kind of organized in certain ways. So databases, like for instance in our library, are going to have books, articles, images, videos, and they're organized in several different ways, sometimes by genre, by topic or subject, by date, by format. So is it an article or is it a DVD, etc. And that's to help students research and narrow down topics for assignments. And if you think about it, you are actually surrounded by your own personal databases all the time. So a lot of you might live out of your laundry baskets full of clean, unfolded clothes. But if you keep up with your laundry, then you probably have a decent dresser. And in your dresser, you might have a sock drawer and an underwear drawer and a t-shirt drawer, right? It keeps your clothing organized so that when you need something, you can quickly open that drawer and grab out what you need, right? Also, you probably have playlists. You might have a rock playlist and a hip hop playlist to organize your music. There's all kinds of organization systems that we use all the time that mirror what a database is. I have an example here. This is my iPhone screen, and this is my own personal little database on my phone. I have all of my communication apps in one folder. I have my finance apps like my Venmo and my PayPal and my bank and things like that in a finance folder. I have all of my guitar and ukulele tuners in one folder, right? So it's organized as well, as good as it can be for my particular system. And that helps, right? It makes things quicker and more efficient. So what do we do in a database? So whenever we're looking for resources for an assignment, or just, for something that we're interested in reading or looking at, we're going to do two different things. So browsing is when we look at a broad range of topics. Okay, so when we start to browse, we might start with just World War II or US in World War II, right? So we're going to be looking at very broad topics. Then once we've narrowed down our topics a little bit, we can use parameters, we can put limits on those topics, and then we can search for resources that are more specific to our particular topic, such as Navajo Code Talkers, women in the American workforce, and the Tuskegee Airmen, for example. So before we move on to the databases, I want to show you a type of database that all of us might be familiar with, and that is Amazon. So we're going to go look at Amazon really quickly. And I'm just going to show you the difference between browsing and searching. So if I want to browse right now, I am thinking I want to buy my husband a water bottle for Father's Day because he really needs a new water bottle. Okay. I don't really have any specs yet, but I'm just going to browse. I'm just going to search for water bottle. It's super broad. Okay. And as you can see, there's a lot here. Okay. I see stainless steel. I see glass. I see plastic, okay? I see different colors. There's a lot. There's a lot of information here. Some of them have straws. Some of them have cases. There's just a lot, okay? So I need to narrow this down. So two things I do know. I'm feeling okay. I know how I'm going to get specific here. For one thing, my husband is very clumsy, so I am not going to get him a glass water bottle. Secondly, I know that he's not a big fan of plastic, so I'm not going to get him plastic. So one thing I can do to limit my search and to get a little more specific is go over here to these filters, okay? We call these filters or limiters, either one. So there's a lot, okay? I can get this really fast. I don't really care when it's delivered. I have a couple weeks still. Don't really care about brands. I'm going to go look at material, okay? I'm going to choose stainless steel. Ooh, and when I clicked that, everything that popped up was stainless steel. But I also think I want to get him a large water bottle. Okay, so some of these are this is a 32 ounce. Okay, he's a big guy. He's 6'3". He works out a lot. So I want him to have a big water bottle. So let's see. Capacity. Boom, here we go. 40 ounces or above. So now I've limited my search and I've narrowed it down a lot. And I can see they've given me some choices that look a little bit more up my alley. So there's an overall pick here you can look at. It's 40 ounces. I know he kind of likes classic dark colors, so that might be a good choice. Some of them have straws, okay? So this gives me a much more narrow perspective on things. And I can start clicking on one or two, pick the one I like the best, and buy it, okay? So that's just a cool way of looking at how to browse, right? You start big and then you narrow it down depending on what you are looking for. And you also know by what they show you, right? Remember the first one that we saw, it had glass over here. Ooh, no, don't want glass. How do we get rid of that, right? Also, just another note, this is another way that databases will organize things. So over here, there's a drop-down menu with all these different departments, right? And in a library, you might see genres or dates or subjects or something like that, right? Or types of formats like DVDs or magazines, images, things like that. And then, of course, you get specific. Oops, I didn't mean to click on that. And then you get specific over here and you can limit your search as wide or as narrow as you like. Okay, so there's the Amazon. So the next thing we're going to do is go and look at some actual school databases, and I'll show you kind of what those look like. Okay, so this one is called Destiny. This is the database of our library. This is what you use to see what is in the library. And then, of course, we also have Mac and Via. And I'm going to get to that through my portal. So as you can see, I'm already logged into my AISD portal. I'm going to click on my Mac and Via tile. Now, Mac and Via has a ton of stuff, okay? It's recommending me some audiobooks here, but I'm going to go over to digital resources because that's where my databases are, okay? Now, also, you can see there are 36 different sort of databases in here. There are a lot to choose from. And for today's purposes, I'm going to go to Gale High School, okay? Gale is one of the databases. You can see there are several. There's Academic One File, Chilton Library, Environmental Studies. I'm going to go to high school because that one's nice and broad, and I'm going to click Open Now. And this is, here's Mac and Via opened up. Okay, so first we'll go back to Destiny and check this out. So the first thing we're going to do is a browse. Okay, and since we're doing World War II, I'm going to show you what it looks like when I browse for World War II. As you can see here, there are these different buttons. There's not like a search button. Each of these buttons is a different search button. Okay, so typically for like a research assignment, I would want to use keyword and or subject. So let's do keyword first and see what pops up for World War II. Okay, so we've got quite a few results here. It looks like we have 34 total, and you can tell most of them have World War II somewhere in the title. And if you look at them, they're pretty broad, okay? And of course, World War II is one of the broadest topics on the planet, so of course they're going to be pretty broad. There's nothing too specific, though, like the story of the conflict that changed the world, right? These are pretty broad, okay? So let's go back to our search, and let's search subject and see what happens. So I'm going to type in World War II, and I'm going to click on subject. No matches found. Can you imagine no matches for World War II? So let's go look at browse subjects and see this is a link. So let's go see what the database is going to offer up to us. All right. So subjects closest to World War II. Okay. This looks pretty good. Okay. So here's how they are categorizing it. World War II, 1939 and 1945. C, World War, 1939 to 1945. Okay, so as we see, this is World War I right here, World War, and then it has the years. Okay, so let's click on this and see where it takes us. This is great. Okay, so it looks like there are 20 under this. Okay, but then as you look, these are all World War II. But now you can see these subheadings, and that's going to help you narrow it down, okay? So for instance, if we're thinking about US or American involvement, we're going to be looking for America, USA, things like that. I see aerial operations American under World War II. That could be a good one. I see African Americans, okay? Maybe that could take us to the Tuskegee Airmen stuff we were talking about earlier, okay? And then these are obviously in alphabetical order. So if we scroll through battles, campaigns, I'm not seeing much American stuff going on. Japan, these are all campaigns, causes, children, okay. Let's see, more countries, Europe, civilians, France, of course, Jews, military operations, Pacific, okay. Some of that might have some Japanese American participation. That would be a good one. Let's see, prisoners, refugees. Ooh, Tennessee, Oak Ridge, that's American. Okay, that could be one. Seattle, Washington. Rhode Island, interesting. Okay. And then, ooh, United States. Here we go. So there are 6 under United States, fiction, drama. So you can see there are several things. Women, Tennessee, Oak Ridge. Okay. So if we were to click on World War II, United States, We've got a few things here. Women on the U.S. home front. Boom, there's a woman one, right? And there are lots of different things that you can go and explore, okay? So that's one way to narrow things down. You do have to kind of look through, but you can also do, you know, your search function. You can get a little bit more specific if you want and go and use those search tips and those limiters that we're going to talk about in just a moment. So that's a pretty good way to browse, okay? And it teaches you also that there are so many different subjects with lots of different subtopics, okay? So let's go back to our search. Now let's go look at Mac and Via. We'll do the same thing over here. So here we are. This is the home page of Gale High School, okay? Gale in context. Gale is the database from TextQuest. And this is just like the high school thing. So this is the home page. You can see there are a few buttons over here. You can go ahead and do a search right away if you want to, right? I can just start typing, boop, boop, boop. Or I can browse topics. So again, for now, all we're doing is browsing. So let's browse topics and see what we can find. Holy moly. Okay. This is a lot. So there are so many topics. Look at all of this. This is pretty specific, okay? But look what I already see. Navajo code talkers, boom. Nazis, okay? That's not necessarily American, but World War II topic, right? Fascism. There's night. So let's go down and see if we can find World War II. Okay. Let's see. Oh, there's the Tuskegee Airmen. Cool. There's one. All right, what do we have? Do we have a World War II? We do. Okay, let's click on World War II. We're browsing. Okay, cool. So this gives us like a brief paragraph that sort of summarizes the entire topic. Okay. And you can also see this is all the, you know, types of resources that there are, okay? References, videos, journals, biographies, audio, okay? This might be podcasts, it might be radio interviews and things like that, okay? And then we can scroll down and look at all of these things. So rationing, Germany invades Poland, the Blitz in Chelsea, that's in England, okay? Women during World War II. Here's kind of a more specific, the American labor force. Ta-da! There's a specific one for you, okay? Then we've got biographies, okay, General Patton, FDR. There's a lot here. Some of these are not American, but this is a cool way to browse and just get an idea of what we're looking at. Okay, there's a ton of stuff here. Okay, great. So that's browsing World War II, and I didn't have to type anything in. I just went and clicked on World War II. Okay, great. So now if I want to narrow that down, if I go back to browse topics, here we go, Navajo code talkers. Again, it starts with this nice paragraph that's just telling us, summarizing what this topic is. And then, of course, it tells us what is all the content that's available, and then we can go look at it. Navajo Code Talkers' instrumental role. The last of the Navajo Code Talkers passed in 2014, okay? We can also look at the year, right, to make sure that these things are all relevant and not too old. And then some of them, of course, are not going to be relevant at all. They're going to be kind of random. But a lot of these are quite good and quite specific, okay? So that's a great way to browse. So the next thing we're going to do, before I show you the search functions, I just want to go through them with you really quickly. So we browsed and we searched on Amazon, and then we browsed in Destiny and Mac and Via. So I'm going to just tell you a little bit about some search techniques that we can use in order to get the most out of our database search, okay? So the first one that we're going to look at is the Boolean operators, okay? You've probably seen this when you've tried to do searches. Usually the database will give you the like a drop down menu with the words and, or, and not. And you can use that. You can type in multiple topics or words, and then you can include or exclude specific words from your search. Okay, so that kind of helps you narrow things down or expand. It depends on what you're doing. Another thing you can use are quotations. You can put quotations around your phrases in order to search for exact phrases. Okay, this is a great way to search for lyrics. If you hear some lyrics on the radio and you're like, oh, what is this song? You can type in whatever those lyrics are in exact quotes in Google, and it can help you find out exactly what the song is pretty quickly, for example. And then, of course, the asterisk. So this is one of the wildcard search functions, and it really broadens your search. And I'm going to show you an example in a minute. But it expands words and it really broadens your search. The question mark is another wildcard, and the question mark can stand in for one letter in a word. Or 4 letters in a row if you want, but each question mark can stand for one letter, and it can either broaden your search or it can narrow it down. And then the limiters, we saw those a little bit on Amazon when I specified the material of the water bottle that I wanted and the size of the water bottle, right? Those would be filters or limiters. And I'll show you how those work as well. So now let's go back and use some of these. So if we go to Destiny, what we would want to do here, this is our basic search, okay, with our cool buttons and everything. So what we would do here is go to the power search, okay? And then bam, you can see all of these things are available. So here are our Boolean operators, and, or, not. And then these are some of our limiters, okay? So location you can look at all the high schools in your district, or you can just look at the high school that you're at. The material type, there's a lot. If you only want to look for books, you can do books. If you only want to look for images, there's this, okay? I'm going to keep it on any type. The publication, we could do after 2010. Perhaps your teacher told you that the resources that you use have to be kind of, no more than 15 years old or something like that. And then you have all of these different cool limiters that you can use, or you don't have to, right? So the first thing we're going to search for, let's do World War II and African Americans. Okay, here we go. So we've got 3 titles. It's not a whole lot, but it's something. Courage Has No Color, The True Story of the Triple Nickels, America's First Black Paratroopers. So let's go look at this and see if this is something that may be relevant. Okay. So this is an interesting resource, and it's going to talk about this group of black paratroopers in World War II. So that works. That kind of brought us what we needed. Oh no, don't do that. Let's just go back to catalog. Oh, okay. That's right. Okay, so that's one way to do your power search. So now I'm going to take you over to Mac and Via because I really like their search stuff. So we looked at Boolean, and let's look at the difference here. So I'm going to search for World War II and African Americans. Now, this is my basic search, if you noticed, okay? This is just the basic. And I typed in World War II and African Americans, okay? So we can see all of these different things that we have. You can see the numbers here and how many we have. African Americans during World War II. Lovely. Now, that's very relevant. But what about this one? African American music, jazz after World War II. I would not say that's relevant to our topic. Okay. African American film, World War II in the 1940s, not so much, right? So we've got a few good things here. But it's not all super relevant stuff. Okay. Here's some really great ones. So there are some good things here. So let's see the difference between doing a basic search where I typed in these words. I'm just going to duplicate this tab, and now I'm going to go to advanced search. Okay, now you can see well, this thing is in the way, but you can see our Boolean terms are here. Okay, so I cannot see this. I can't move this thing. So that's all right. I'm going to choose the first one because I think it's and I'm going to type in World War II. I'm just going to also leave keyword here because that's a safe option. African Americans. So let's see the difference between the Boolean search and the just basic typing search. Also, you'll notice that you can look at this. This will tell you about the Boolean operators. You can also see what the quotation marks do, what the wildcards do. Okay, this gives you some cool info. And then, of course, our limiters are down here if you wanted to use one of those. For now, all I'm going to do is the Boolean search. Oh, here we go. So World War II and African Americans. Now let's search and see what the difference is. So over here in the basic search, we have 217 under reference, 85 academic journals. Okay. Now let's look at our Boolean, our search using Boolean operators. This really narrowed things down. Okay. Our numbers are smaller here. African Americans during World War II. African Americans in the military, World War II in the ground war, World War II in the sea services, okay? Everything is going to be a little bit different. You're going to have a few of the same, but there are going to be more relevant pieces here. So, segregated units of D-Day. Let's see, Tuskegee Airmen, here we go. This is from NPR, really cool. So film recruitment of African Americans in World War II. There's a whole bunch of different things than what we saw in this other search. Okay, so using the Boolean operator narrowed our search quite a bit. Okay, great. So that's your Boolean. So the next thing we're going to do is use those quotations. So let's see what that does. So first of all, I'm gonna do a search without quotes. Okay, I'm just gonna search for women in World War II. Basic search, no quotes. Okay. Okay, so here's what we have here: 7 reference, 162 news, images. Okay, here's what that looks like. Now we're gonna go over here, and we're gonna put the exact same phrase in quotes. So women in World War II. Okay, so wow, look. 1 reference, 1 journal, 1 audio. So that really, really narrowed it down. Okay, so this is without quotes. Women working in World War II. 1940s sports, hobbies, army. Okay, so this is kind of cool. You can tell by the caption. God, this was in Texas. Very cool. Images, Rosie the Riveter, female World War II pilots. Okay, this is pretty nifty. So we see quite a few good hits here. All right. And then when we go look at the other basic search with quotations, we have fewer, okay? Because again, it's searching for the exact phrase women in World War II, okay? So we have this one again. We had this one on the other one. They also served American women in World War II. This wasn't there on the other one. So gay men and women in World War II, that's a topic. A U.S. military, of course. So that would be a good one. So this is cool. This shows how much there's another Tuskegee Airman. This shows how much those quotes can narrow down. your search. Okay, so without quotes and with quotes. Quite a difference there. Okay, cool. So the next one we're going to look at is the asterisk. Okay, so let's do a Boolean search for this one. So we're going to go back to advanced search. Okay, and we're going to do World War II and island. So let's just see what that does. Maybe it'll pop up with Hawaii or Japan or something, you know, something that's an island, okay? So we're going to do World War II and island. Do a search for that. Okay. So we have D-Day, African Americans in the military, Iwo Jima, okay. Japanese island of Iwo Jima, this would be a topic, right? This is American stuff. Okay, ID records. Oh, naval training at Puerto Rico. That's kind of a cool one. We don't ever get to hear about this sort of thing. So this all brings up island, okay? And then you can see the numbers here. This is, you know, how many of each of these sort of resources we have. So now let's go and see the difference. We'll go do another advanced search, and this time we're going to use that asterisk, okay? So we're going to do World War II again, and for the Boolean, you can't see it, but here, let me move it up. There we go. We've got and. Now we're going to use the asterisk. So what you do with the asterisk is I'm just going to do ISL and then an asterisk, okay? Because look, it can turn into any of these words, and it will, okay? So it can be island, islands, isle, islander, okay? So there's going to be a lot of different options here. So this will more than likely expand our search. So let's go see what happens. Okay, so let's look at the difference here. So this is the Boolean search with the whole word island. These are our numbers. Like, let's just look at references, 121. Now, if we use the asterisk, 241, okay? So everything is expanded. Videos are more than doubled, okay? So there's a lot more when you use that asterisk, okay? So here we go. World War II, and now some of them are the same, okay? It starts out with D-Day, African Americans, Pacific Islanders, okay, cool. And then we have a few of the same things, of course. Oh, League of Their Own about World War II women's baseball. That's interesting. That would come up with this asterisk search. And then, okay, the islands of Papua New Guinea. There's just a lot of different things over here. Small arms, letters from American women in uniform, right? So you're going to find even more things with this asterisk search than we did with just the straight keywords, okay? So that's another good example. Okay. We're also going to look at the question mark. So this is another interesting one. Let's go search for, we already searched for women in World War II. So let's do that again. Okay, women in World War II. There's that search. Remember, we saw this one earlier. There's quite a bit of stuff here. Now, let's go use a question mark and see what happens there. So remember I told you earlier, a question mark will stand in for a letter. So for instance, if you don't know how to spell something, but you know that it's 7 letters long, you could put question marks in for a couple of those letters that you're not sure about, okay? Or if you just want to expand your search a little bit, you could put a question in. So what I'm going to do is do WOM, and then I'm going to use a question mark N, okay? So this could be woman singular or women plural, perhaps, in World War II. I'm going to search for that. Okay, so again, that really expanded our search. So our basic search of just women in World War II turns up 7 references, 162 news pieces, okay? Let's look at what that question mark did. 242 references, 33 videos. Where's the news? 2,372 news. Okay. So this is a lot. This has so much. And it really expanded things, and it's going to give us relevant. Okay. This is an interesting one. This is like a primary source, which is really nifty. And you're going to find a few things that aren't super relevant, but most of them are going to be solid resources that you can use. Women war correspondents in World War II. We haven't seen that one yet, right? So that's pretty nifty. They also served, let's see, forgotten women. So yeah, this is going to give us a lot. Pretty cool. Okay, now finally we can look at limiters. So we could have been using limiters this whole time, but this is just the order that I did it in. So let's look at limiters. We could do, as I mentioned earlier, your instructor or your teacher might have told you one of the requirements is that your resources have to be less than 15 years old. Okay, so let's do a date. So you can see you can do all kinds of things here. You can do peer-reviewed journals. If you're not sure what these mean, just click on it, right? So peer-reviewed journals limits your search to documents from publications that are classified as peer-reviewed. This is something that I need to do in grad school to make sure that everything I'm getting is super high quality. But for your project right now, you could stick with full text documents. That's fine, but you can limit that. So if your teacher has given you a parameter on date, all right, so let's do after. And let's just say we'll do January 1st or 1st of January 2010. Okay, so that'll be safe. And then look, you can also do it by content type. So if you only want to see pictures, you can do images. If you only want to see primary sources, you can do that. I'm going to leave them all open because it just gives us more stuff. There's also different ways, tons and tons of different types of document types. I saw the word argument on there. So there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can limit the search. So let's limit the search. We're going to let's do women in World War II. And then we'll limit it to 2010 search. Here we go. So we have Mildred Pierce, that's a film. And then, okay, female World War II pilots. Cool. Okay, here's another Rosie the Riveter gathering. Tuskegee Airmen again. So not all completely relevant to the women part, but we've got quite a bit here. World War II. Some of these I don't know whether they're American or not, but you can always go and click in and see. Oh, this is cool. Code Girls. That's fun. So yeah, you can see all of these different ways of narrowing down your search can really, really help you. Okay, so let's go back to our presentation. And at this point, I would ask what questions you have on how to browse, how to search, what's the difference, what about all of these advanced search tips and tricks, etc. And then I would encourage you to go ahead and chat with your group mates, chat with your partner, go log into Mac and Via, start browsing, start searching. I have a handout prepared for you. It's a handy dandy little cheat sheet with some instructions and with those advanced search tips that I just went through with you. So let me know what questions you have. I hope you learned a little bit about databases in this presentation. Thank you so much.